Thanks for staying with us on SABC News. The African National Congress has added another agenda item to its much-anticipated weekend conference. The new item is a discussion on corruption in the wake of the Steinhoff scandal that uncovered accounting misdeeds at the company. ANC leaders say the conference will address the impact of corruption on the poor as well as the image of the country. At the same time, the Department of Trade and Industry and the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission will be launching an investigation into Steinhoff to determine if it has breached the Companies Act. In a statement, the DTI says it will further suggest that the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors also consider the circumstances with regard to the role of auditors in this instance. Steinhoff has been rocked by an accounting scandal that has wiped billions of rands from its market value. Parliament's Oversight Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, has also announced that it intends to call the executives of the global retailer before Parliament early in the new year. Parliament is currently on recess. SCOPA's chairperson Themba Godi also called on the South African Revenue Service, the South African Reserve Bank, the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors and the Financial Services Board to urgently investigate Steinhoff. Shares in Steinhoff fell by 80% last week after the company said accounting irregularities had come to light. It announced the resignation of its CEO and postponed the release of financial results. The share price started to recover yesterday after 200 billion rand was wiped off the market value of the company. Joining me now for more on the story is MacDonald Nechitenze, who is the Acting Deputy Director General for Consumer and Corporate Regulations at the DTI. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. What led to the DTI undertaking this investigation, and is this normal, the course of action in such circumstances?
Yes, it is normal, but this one we think it is abnormal because a lot is at stake. As you said, that billions of money rands have been wiped out, and is from the pension PIC. Therefore, the Minister of Trade and Industry and the CIPC, as you said, will be launching this investigation. But under normal circumstances, if there is a transgression on the Companies Act on governance issues, the CIPC does the investigation.
Why have you specifically asked RBA to look at the role of auditors in the Steinhoff issue?
Yeah, IRBA, its function is to regulate the conduct of auditors. When the auditors are looking at the books, they see a lot of things, irregularities. So in terms of the Companies Act, there is what we call reportable irregularities. In other words, there is a duty on each and every auditor or a firm to report to the relevant authority to say, we suspect that there is a corruption or unethical conduct that is happening in this company. So therefore, this issue of saying for 6 months or 3 years there was no certificate issued for Steinhoff, if it is true, the auditors should have reported this matter to the relevant authorities. We agree that this is happening in a foreign jurisdiction, but where I'm talking about the South African jurisdiction, the Companies Act. Okay. So therefore, we expect that IRBA should regulate the conduct of the auditors. If there is an omission in that regard, something should be done to the auditors concerned.
Have you engaged with anyone from Steinhoff while you're beginning your investigation?
Not yet. It's a process. There will be sort of an appointment, terms of reference, an appointment maybe of senior counsels, people who have been dealing with this issue of investigating in this area. So it's a process, not yet, but the intention is already expressed from the CIPC and the Minister DG.
Okay. What role does the DTI have to play, both in reassuring the public, business and the international community that business in South Africa does follow the rules, and if there's a breach or suspected breach in the Companies Act or any other legislation, it's dealt with properly?
Yeah, no, thanks. That is why the DTI and CIPC is saying this matter really deserve to be investigated. In other words, we want to build confidence in that regard. And then secondly, there should be a coordinated approach, each authority acting within its mandate. CIPC, in terms of the Companies Act, the act is very advanced, one of the best in the world. So therefore, investors should not be worried that enforcement is lacking. And then these reportable irregularities, if the hawks have to play their role, SARS, if they have to play their role on tax evasion or avoidance, and then the issue of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in terms of their regulations. So therefore, this coordinated approach may assist in gaining the confidence of investors, but we don't have to change our laws. If it is a matter of greed and corruption, the boards should also be active, and shareholders to report, like the Enron corruption scandal in the US. The minority shareholders have to be active and reveal all these issues, in so much that therefore the communities should be mobilized and then attend to this issue of corruption. But legislation is in place, so investors are ensured that our laws are up to standards.
MacDonald Netshitenzhe from the DTI, thanks so much for your time on SABC News.